I mean, as long as here it's okay, right?
Got it? All right. Call this meeting of the Galt City Council to order. We're returning from closed session. Ms. Hood, do we have anything to report?
No, the council convened in closed session regarding labor negotiations, but there was no reportable action.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Hewer,
Here.
Councilmember Campion,
Here.
Councilmember Lamson,
Here.
Vice Mayor Cruz.
Here. Could all rise for a silent prayer followed by the flag salute? I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America
Okay, if we can get the video statement, please.
This meeting of the Galt City Council will be cablecast on Metro Cable 14, the local government affairs channel, on the Comcast Consolidated Communications and AT&T Uverse cable systems. The meeting is closed captioned and webcast at www.sacmetrocable.tv. Today's meeting will air Friday, October 6th at 9 a.m. and Saturday, October 7th at 9 a.m. The city council meeting videos are also archived on the city's website, and a DVD copy is available for checkout from any library branch.
Thank you. Do we have any agenda approvals, additions, and/or deletions? Seeing none, we'll move on to presentations. First off, subject is new employee introductions from Public Works.
Vice Mayor Cruz and council members, we're pleased to introduce two new employees tonight. Both of them are new water system operators that are joining our Public Works team. And if I could have Miguel and Megan come up, I'll give a quick introduction of each of you, and then you're welcome, if you choose, to say a few words or to just wave and need a hasty retreat if you so please. First, we'll do Miguel Vargas. He's a fairly local product, born and raised in Lodi. He has prior experience working with the City of Galt for 5 years as a part-time employee in both parks and in our building maintenance and utilities divisions. He is currently preparing to take his wastewater treatment plant operator exam in November, and we wish him well because that would be one of the tickets you got to punch on your career advancement in the current field. And if you see him slacking at Home Depot during normal working hours, that's not Miguel, that's his twin brother. At Home Depot. Yeah, we get all kinds of dirt on you guys. And his drink of choice is Coca-Cola, so if you feel in the mood, bring him a Coke on a hot day. Anything you'd like to say, Miguel? No. Okay. Well, welcome as our one of our two newest water treatment, our water operators, which would be on our water rather than our wastewater side, and keep up the good work, and welcome aboard.
Thank you.
I'd like to introduce Megan Schmidt. She's a military brat, born here in California, but has moved among many states, as military families tend to do. And she's married and lives in Fairfield, so she commutes to Galt every day. And she's caring for extended family there. She studied wastewater treatment technology at Solano Community College and has received an Associate of Science in Water Treatment there. So she comes well qualified to us. And while she was going to school there, she worked for the City of Fairfield at a couple of their water treatment plants, according to my good cheat sheet here. So we welcome Megan Schmidt aboard. And would you like to say anything?
No, thank you.
Welcome to our team. One thing they let me do.
Mandatory, you keep your eyes open and you smile.
Thank you very much.
Okay, moving on. Police Department, Chief.
Oh, yeah.
You got to stand right in the middle in front of everybody.
We're a target.
You doing okay? Good, good. So this is our newest officer, Stephanie Stewart, and I told her that I was planning on embarrassing her, but little did she know that I would never do that in a public setting like this, maybe.
Don't believe it.
So, this is a continued effort that we have been embarking on at the police department to only find the best, the brightest, the rock stars within the applicant pool. And so Stephanie comes to us, she goes through her interviews, and my first question to her when she came in and had to sit across the table from me is, there's no way that what you have on paper here is truly your complete and total background. There's no way. Nobody is this good. Nobody has this great of a background. Nobody is this eager to become a cop. And everything that I said no way to, I've been pleased. Excelled in the academy. She just graduated from the Napa Academy September 9th of this year, and got sworn in as one of our newest police officers. And she's in field training right now with Officer Flutie, with Corporal Flutie, and he's just doing, the team is working really well together, nothing but praise. And so it just reaffirms the efforts of our command staff, Steve Warren, who does all of our hiring, the assistance of Cora Hall, our HR director, helping out and trying to make sure that we screen all the applicants and only find the best. So, and what I mean by that, and I've said this before in a public setting, is we'll have 200 applicants, and if we get one qualified to be a cop, then I think that we're lucky. So I'm very, very pleased. Now, I get to talk about you. She's from Vacaville, right? You have an associate's degree. Liberal studies at Solano Community College, and you're working on your bachelor's degree. Sorry, I got a frog in my throat. So I asked her today, I said, so what do you like to do? And she provided me with this very, 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 very brief list of things: dogs and being outside. And I was like, oh, come on, you got to give me something of interest, something that people are going to remember you by. And so I said, you have 30 minutes to come up with a really good list for me. And she didn't. She came up with my dream when I retire is to be on, what did you say, Kauai? No, it's Kauai, the beaches of Kauai. Is that on Maui? I don't know. I've never been to Hawaii. Watching sea turtles. So that's her lifelong dream, besides becoming a Galt police officer. So I didn't embarrass you. I'm really proud of you for your efforts in the academy. I want to publicly say welcome to our family. I know that you don't have any family, biological family here, but what you have here is standing with you here is your new family, this family of Galt. So welcome. Now you can get sworn in.
Do solemnly swear
That I will support and defend
that I will support and defend
the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution of the State of
the
California,
Constitution of the State of California,
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
to the Constitution of the United States
to the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California,
and the Constitution of the State of California,
that I take this obligation freely
that I take this obligation freely
without any mental reservation
without any mental reservation
or purpose of evasion,
or purpose of evasion,
and during such time
and during such time
as I am an employee
as I am an employee
for the City of Galt,
for the City of Galt,
I will faithfully discharge
I will faithfully discharge
the duties
the duties
of the position of police officer
of the position of police officer
to the best of my ability.
to the best of my So I do have a few words to say. maybe a few, but they're there. I started this journey November of last year when I applied to Galt for the very first time. Galt was the absolute first department I applied for because it was the first department I wanted to work for. Went through my testing, everything was perfect. Went through background investigation, everything went perfect. Went to the academy. Having the mentors and having the staff by my side the whole time, pushing me through, telling me, don't be hard on yourself, because I do strive for perfection like we always do. But when I first stepped foot in the police department after I graduated, it was a completely different experience. They say a house isn't a home unless you have family in it. And my house is the police department, and you guys make it a family, and you guys make it a home, and I appreciate it. And I am so eager to work amongst all of you guys. And in my department, I dropped Mark Cruz and Lori Hewer, all of you guys, researched all of you guys, and I'm very pleased to work beside not only you guys, but the police department and our citizens of the community. So I appreciate it, and I look forward to seeing each and every one of you guys. I figured.
Yeah. We do this.
Someone pin the badge on her or no? I missed the badge pin? Oh, okay.
Moving on. We have a report from the Beautification Committee.
Good evening, Council. I am happy to make the Beautification Committee's annual report. It will include the past year and some new changes. The report is based on the city's fiscal year, July 1, 2016 to June 30th, 2017. Therefore, the first part of the report will be based on the activities of the Beautification Committee 2016-2017. Whose members were Fatima Lopes, who is still a member. She's hung in there and she's in the audience. Frank Duell, Fatima Ortega, Stephen Justice, and Chairperson Janine St. Clair. In addition to their selection of the Home of the Month, their big project was to enhance the school barn landscaping. The elementary school barn is in a residential area in Galt on the east side, and it didn't fit into the neighborhood. So the Beautification Committee rolled up their sleeves and made it pretty, beautiful. The committee also every year decorates the lobby for Christmas, and they do a fabulous job to make the Christmas spirit come alive in our community. They also participate in community events, such as the Heritage Festival, where they're there to meet the public and tell them what they're all about, what it means to be on the Beautification Committee. Now, I would like to introduce the Beautification Committee 2017-2018. Darlene Brown, who could not be here, but Fatima Lopes and Amy Sandhu in the audience. And I am the chairperson, Barbara Payne. And I would like to say, if you counted, there's only 4. We hope this council will hurry up and fill up our vacant position because we need help. We have plans for the future. We have continued the activities of the previous committee, and we participated in the Easter extravaganza. However, there are some new changes. The Galt Beautification Committee has moved. Yes, we have. We are now meeting in the building department, in the community development department, and we're very happy with the change, and we're happy to be working with the staff there. Not to say that working with the city clerk wasn't a real pleasure, and through the years, I think almost from the beginning, the city clerk has been the staff person, and so we appreciate all of that. Our goals for the upcoming year is to make a new logo. We have changes and we're ready to make these changes. We want to review the bylaws and submit any changes to the City Council for approval. We would like to enhance the city's Christmas decorations, especially on Lincoln Way. They're getting a little frayed, and we want to do what we can to make them look better. I would also like to thank Councilwoman Lapson for her discretionary money that gives us a good start on decorations for the Christmas, and thank goodness, since Christmas is just around the corner, we have that boost. Also, I appreciate her attending our meetings. I know she has a million meetings, but it's great that she's interested, and the rest of the council members are also invited to share your thoughts and your ideas for the Beautification Committee. A priority for the committee will be to reach out to volunteers in the community to help keep the parks, the streets free of litter, and promote pride in our neighborhood, in our homes, and our businesses. There is nothing that speaks more about a town than the visual appearance of the entire community. Thank you for the opportunity to make our town more beautiful, and I would like to ask you to remember Janine St. Clair and Evelyn Moore, who passed away this past year. They had given their time and their energy and their devotion to the Beautification Committee. Thank you. And I have detailed reports for you, if you would like to pass those around.
Thank you, Barbara.
Okay, next is the Commission on Aging Annual Report.
Good evening, Mr. Vice Mayor and members of the City Council. My name is Bob Belay. I'm a member of the Commission on Aging who has been tasked by Chairman Alvin Roberts to present his annual report to you. The following are the activities and issues that the Commission has been dealing with in the current year, 2017, and will continue to deal with in the coming year, 2018. 1, preparing a resource guide for seniors with basic information such as organizations, addresses, and phone numbers that seniors can contact if they have a specific need. The Commission decided that the best platform to accomplish this goal is to use the monthly resource calendar method. I provided you each with a copy of this particular calendar and will be ordering 200 more copies, and those will be available to seniors of our city at specific locations such as senior communities and organizations where we have access to the senior population, beginning November, December 2017 and into the new year. Second, we have been discussing the need in our city for a senior center and are looking in the direction of using the Senior Club as a platform for such a center. We don't want to reinvent the wheel, so to speak. It's a long-term project, and we are in the information gathering period, such as contacting and meeting with senior centers in the surrounding communities. Chairman Roberts is undertaking that task with members of the Commission's help and will establish a task force to work through this process by the end of this year. 3, we have been discussing the possibilities of conducting a health information fair geared towards the health needs of seniors. The Commission is looking for such a fair to happen in the fall of 2018, just in time for picking your new annual healthcare coverage. 4, we have been discussing the issue of wheelchair access to the Parks and Recreation Center, as well as other city buildings. This was brought to our attention by members of the public attending our meetings. We have been working with the Director of Parks and Recreation, Mr. Solis, as well as the City Manager, Mr. Eugene Palazzo. I believe I got that right. Both of whom have been very cooperative in addressing this issue. Our aim is to prepare a special report to the City Council on this issue when our project is completed in the next several months. 5, we have been working diligently on bringing the existence of our commission to the attention of the public by use of the local newspaper and are exploring other city platforms and or social media pursuant to city laws and guidelines. The idea is to let the seniors of our community know our mission, entrusted to us by you, the City Council, and inviting them to attend our monthly meetings. I, on behalf of the Commission, was successful in establishing a monthly column dedicated to the Commission on Aging on issues affecting our seniors in the Galt Herald, and we thank the Herald editor for this opportunity. We have submitted our mission statement and our agenda to the City Clerk for publication on the city's website, and the quarterly pamphlet mailed to citizens of our community for her perusal and approval, with changes suggested by the City Clerk if there are any. Kudos to the City Clerk and Parks and Recreation, specifically their representative, Ms. Monica Lopez, for their cooperative assistance. We will start using those media platforms beginning with the new year. 6, we have been working diligently on a citywide survey for seniors in an effort to ascertain what our seniors' priorities are. Chairman Roberts has undertaken this project, and the commission has approved such a survey. Chairman Roberts, with the help of Commissioner Andrea Johnson, is in the process of effecting the most efficient way to distribute and collect this survey from our seniors. My column in the Galt Herald in September introduced the seniors, at least those who subscribe to the Herald, to this survey and invited them to participate. I was also successful in having my landlord at the Three Palms Mobile Estates include this survey in her monthly bill mailing to my 130 fellow residents for October. I'll be collecting those responses from her and forwarding them on to Chairman Roberts. This will help us as a commission to get ready for our tasks in the coming year. 7, finally, we, the members of our commission, take our task of being advocates for the seniors of our community very seriously and will continue to encourage all seniors to bring issues concerning them to our attention by letting them know about us, our mission, and inviting them by all possible and legal means to communicate with us their concerns so that we, in turn, can apprise you, the City Council, of any legitimate concerns that may require your action. Are there any questions?
Council.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Very good.
Thank you for the calendar.
You're welcome.
Anytime.
Parks and Recreation.
I don't see my commissioner in the audience. Would you like me to give the report, or would you like to reschedule?
Let's give your representative a chance. We'll go ahead and reschedule.
Okay, I apologize for that.
Moving on to public comment.
Want me to say, read it first?
Yes, please.
Under Government Code Section 54954.3, members of the public may address the council on non-agenda items. Speakers may address City Council on any agenda item during consideration of the item. Speakers shall restrict their comments to issues that are within the subject matter jurisdiction of the City Council and limit comments to a maximum of 5 minutes. Please fill out a speaker sheet located on the table inside the entrances to the council chambers and forward the completed speaker sheet to the clerk.
Okay, and we have Lynn Hutchinson.
Thank you.
Vice Mayor and council members, nice to see you again. It's been a while. We've all been touched by someone close to us that is affected, who's been affected by this disease, and that disease is cancer. It's curable with all of our support. Galt Police Officers Association and the Galt Police Department Civilians Association chose to support Breast Cancer Awareness Month by purchasing 1,000 pink patches. These patches are similar to the ones our officers are wearing on their sleeves this month, as you can see by the chief and our officers back here. And our office staff is wearing the polos with the logo. All proceeds from the sale of these patches will be donated to SOS, which is Save Ourselves Breast Cancer Lingerie Closet, and UC Davis Resource Library. The closet has a beautiful selection of new and gently used items such as camisoles, hats, wigs, and other miscellaneous items. All the items are without cost, regardless of where a patient is or has been seen. Tonight, our association would like to give each council member, city clerk, and city manager a patch.
I'd like to donate to pay for it. Thank you.
Oh, she must have,
Could have told us ahead of time.
my purse is in the office. Did you pay for me
It's in the
too?
mail. I can. That looked nice. Thank you.
You're welcome. We would also like to thank the chief for his support of this program. If anybody is interested in purchasing a patch, they're just $10, and they are available at the police department. We hope that we're going to sell, we gave every employee one, so we're hoping that we're going to sell 850, 900 patches and have a great check for SOS. Thank you.
Thank you, Lynn. Rich Lozano?
I promise I won't use 5 minutes. I just want to, first of all, Vice Mayor Cruz and council members, thanks for having me here. I'm just here to tell you that tomorrow night, the Cosumnes Community Service District Board of Directors are going to meet here in the council chambers, and I'd like to invite all city staff, council members, and the community to come out and kind of see what's going on with the CSD, and there will be some informational items that are relevant to the area. So this is our first attempt at bringing the CSD down to Galt a little bit so that our neighbors here have a little closer access. And I look forward to, in the future, continuing that practice maybe a couple of times a year just to give our folks an opportunity to come and see what we do. So that's all I have, and I invite you guys out tomorrow at 6:30, sorry. 6:30? 6:30. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Okay, moving on to the information consent calendar. Can you read the items, please?
Minutes of the regular meeting of September 19th, 2017. Receive and file warrants for the period ending September 19th, 2017. Galt Commission on Aging. Treasurer's report for period ending August 2017.
Do I have a motion to accept?
So moved?
I have a motion by Councilmember Lampson and a second by Councilmember Campion. Call for the vote, please.
Councilmember Hewer.
Aye.
Councilmember Campion.
Aye.
Councilmember Lampson.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Cruz.
Aye, unanimous vote. Moving on to scheduled matters. Industrial Park Expansion, Annexation, and Pre-Zone Project. Mr. Arias.
Thank you, Vice Mayor, and good evening. Chris Arias, Community Development Director. The item you have before you is the Industrial Park Expansion, Annexation, and Pre-Zone Project. We'll be asking Council to approve the resolutions adopting the CEQA Initial Study and Mitigated Negative Declaration, also the resolution approving the annexation, and also introduce the pre-zone for the project. A little background on the project. Council directed staff to initiate an annexation for two primary areas. The commercial area is north of Twin Cities, and then also the industrial area that we're going to talk about tonight. Staff proceeded with this annexation and completed an environmental document and brought it to Planning Commission in 2016. The Planning Commission recommended approval of the annexation, but the environmental document uncovered a couple public comments that were of note. Most notably, the Air District commented on the environmental document that our annexation was not consistent with the sphere of influence expansion that we had north of Twin Cities. And in that, they said that we had been required to complete a 35% air quality mitigation plan, as well as complete a climate action plan by the time of application to LAFCO. So based on those comments, staff proceeded to complete the 35% air quality mitigation plan and also the GHG reduction plan. We've had some changes which kind of made us move the industrial zone annexation a little bit forward in advance of the commercial areas north of Twin Cities. Most notably, that we have the need for an expanded industrial park, and I'll get to that on the next slide. But a couple things have happened on the commercial annexation north of Twin Cities. The GHG reduction plan and the 35% air quality mitigation plan have been taking a little bit longer. And as you know, the city received a grant to complete a climate action plan. So completing the climate action plan will eliminate the need to do the GHG reduction plan for the area, and then also help us with our 35% air quality mitigation plan. So the plan at this point is to proceed with the industrial area and then come back to the commercial areas north of Twin Cities when the climate action plan is complete. And we're expecting that probably at the end of 2018 and maybe into 2019. So that is the reason we separated the two areas. The rationale for proceeding with the industrial area is, the city looks to the industrial area for our jobs to housing balance. And with the annexation of Eastview and the potential of up to 1,500 homes, to help balance out that residential growth, we need to have some industrial growth. And our existing industrial park is rapidly building out. There are no large parcels of land available for development. In addition to that, there are large parcels for sale in the expanded industrial zone. Staff has been receiving many calls for potential development, but because they're currently in the county, it makes it a little bit more difficult to develop. So that's why we proceeded more rapidly with the industrial annexation. And as you know, we can get sales tax benefit and certainly property tax benefit from the properties in the industrial zone. The project will require a pre-zone, which will ultimately become the zoning for the site. The zoning will be consistent with the general plan. The bulk of the area will be zoned light industrial or light manufacturing with a small band of office professional at the northern portion. So you can see the boundaries are basically north of the existing park, which is north of Live Oak, and then south of Spring Street, and then between the freeway and the railroad. So the land up south of Spring Street will be zoned office professional to provide a buffer between the residences north of Spring Street and then the industrial users to the south. And it is, again, consistent with the general plan. Typically, annexations are driven by private development. The city is spearheading this annexation for the reasons provided, and also to give us control over development. This annexation will obviously transfer the oversight of the annexed area to the city rather than the county, and we are currently working with the county on a tax sharing agreement and hope to bring that to you soon. Approval findings have been made for the project, and they're detailed in the staff report. The project is consistent with the general plan. The city has identified this area for growth, not only in this general plan, but even the previous one. As CEQA initial study, mitigated negative declaration was prepared for the project. Staff received 3 comments. They're shown as attachment 1 in the staff report. The comment letters did not affect the analysis of the initial study. However, for clarification purposes, we did prepare an errata to the document and then also a response to comments, and those are also attachment 1 to the staff report. In reality, though, removing the Twin Cities area from this annexation will actually move this up quickly and remove roadblocks for the annexation. The next steps are a second reading of an ordinance, if so introduced tonight, complete the tax sharing agreement, and then submit the formal application to LAFCO. Once we submit the application to LAFCO, timing is out of our hands, but we're hoping that we can get to the LAFCO decision makers either by the end of this year or the beginning of next. And that concludes staff presentation. We are asking council to approve the resolutions that approve the initial study, and then also the annexation, and then introduce the ordinance approving the pre-zone for the project, waiving the full reading, and continue to the next regular meeting for adoption. Again, that concludes staff presentation. Cindy Ganos with Rainey Planning and Management, they completed the environmental document, is here, along with staff to help answer any questions you might have.
Thank you, Chris. Council, any questions?
Real briefly, LAFCO is lead agency on this, correct?
Correct.
So, and they've obviously reviewed all the environmental documents, and their comments have been responded to.
Exactly, and those are included in the report. And we've had numerous discussion with the LAFCO representatives, and they are satisfied with our response. Because we know the concern that when we make that application, we know that environmental document needs to satisfy their needs. And so we've been given that indication that the responses and the document are satisfactory.
Good, good. Looks good. Thank
So,
you.
Chris, just for public knowledge, this has been in the works for a long time. You said how many times in the general plan?
Yeah, this area has been in the general plan, certainly since 2009 for the current general plan, but even prior to that. I think the previous general plan was approved in the 1980s and included this area for growth. So this has been identified for growth for the city for some time now.
Thank you.
Okay. Thanks, Chris. And with that, we will open the public hearing. Do we have anyone who wishes to speak on this item? Seeing none, we will close the public hearing. Any further comment from council?
I'd move staff's recommendation.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilmember Campion and a second by Councilmember Hewer. Call for the vote, please.
Councilmember Hewer?
Aye.
Councilmember Campion?
Aye.
Councilmember Lamson?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Cruz?
Aye, 4-0 vote. Okay, moving on to the regular calendar, Community Development Department. South County Transit Link Fueling and Maintenance Facility Project, initial study mitigation, negative declaration. Mr. Arias, you're up again.
I should have just stayed up here. So as you stated, the item you have before you is the SCT Link Fueling and Maintenance Facility Initial Study and Negative Declaration. We are seeking council approval of the project CEQA document only. The project site is located at 550 Elm Avenue, which is the current site of the city's corporation yard. The front side of the project, or the front part of the site is zoned public, quasi-public, and is zoned appropriately for the use. The expanded area in the back is zoned R1C, which is a residential designation. The City of Galt received a $3.3 million grant from SACOG for an expansion of the city's existing courtyard. The goal of the expansion was to continue or to combine the city's parks and rec along with the Public Works Department yard facilities, along with the South County Transit bus services into one site. The site plan for the initial study shows demolition of existing structures, the construction of a new office building, covered bus parking, open vehicle parking, a fueling station, and miscellaneous storage facilities. Noise mitigation for the site includes a 12-foot noise barrier around the perimeter of the site. Access to the site is from a single driveway on Elm Avenue. It's the existing entryway into the site, and emergency access will be off of Poplar. The project incorporates mitigation to bring impacts to a less than significant threshold. As mentioned in the staff report, staff is moving forward with this environmental document to meet the timelines associated with the grant. There are no other project approvals being sought at this time. The site is a little bit less than ideal. The nearby residences and the limited access make the site somewhat of a challenge. Staff is hoping to transfer the funding to a more suitable location if approved by SACOG. The project will require a general plan amendment, rezone, and design approval as shown. If that site is ultimately chosen for the use, this approval will come back to Planning Commission for a recommendation for approval and then back to City Council for final approval. We did have the mitigated negative declaration was published for public review. We've received a couple comments. None raised any concerns that were not addressed adequately, and I believe those are included as attachment 1 to your staff report. And that concludes staff presentation. Again, we are asking City Council to approve the resolution adopting the project initial study mitigated negative declaration.
Thank you, Chris. Council, any questions?
Motion to approve?
Oh, wait, hang on. We do have one public comment. Colleen Hurley?
Good evening. Thank you for your time. My name is Colleen Hurley, and I live in the 300 block of Oak Avenue. My property will not be completely adjacent to the fence around the project. It's across the street. So I have 3 questions, basically. I don't know whether you'd like me to do one at a time or throw all 3 out. Which would you prefer?
Throw them all out.
Throw them all out. Okay. My biggest concern about this project, and I've read it at length, is about the light pollution. The reason why I'm so concerned, and all of my neighbors are as well, is that we live down the street from where BMD is, which is a lovely, wonderful company. However, if you've ever driven north on Elm Avenue at night, you can see that the lights are blaring, and just my friends that live down at the end of Oak Avenue are constantly complaining about the bright lights that come into their houses, into their yards. In reading this document, I see that there's a lot of reference to that the lights will be according to code for the city of Galt. Part of my question is, what is that code? I talked to Mr. Arias a little bit earlier today, and you mentioned 12-foot fences. Mr. Arias, in the document it says 8-foot fences. one of my concerns is that if you were adjacent to that 8-foot fence, I think that it might mitigate the light, but we're across the street, so just basic, I couldn't figure out the algebra today, but it seems like that an 8-foot fence would not prevent the light from going across the street and beyond. So my question is, what is the code with lights? The part of that is also, if it turns out that it's not according to code, what is our recourse? If we were to say it doesn't appear to be a code, would the code be enforced? Would the city or South County Transit be forced to change the lights? Because I didn't see that happen with BMD, so that's my big concern.
Maybe Chris can respond to that.
Yeah, I can't speak to BMD. I know they do have some outdoor storage facilities that requires outdoor lighting, and
Right.
I don't know the process in which some of that came in. If it was just a mere building permit, sometimes it's difficult to impose the standard conditions. But in this instance, there is a specific mitigation measure that requires that the outdoor lighting be directed and shielding downward to avoid the nighttime spillover. But we can specifically then require a photometric, which the numbers we look for is 0.025 foot candles, no greater than 5 foot outside the property line. So they are required to provide a photometric that will give us that numbers. And then we can look at the fixture type to make sure that they're shielded and focused inward and not focused outward.
Okay.
So there is a process for us to see that. And again, BMD's kind of developed over time.
Right.
So I don't know, which lighting is.
And I'm not here to complain about them. Like I said, it's a wonderful company. It's just, that's what's scaring us.
Yeah. So, I would say lighting in general is a big item for the city. It is a requirement or a required finding for design approval. So when the project comes back to Planning Commission and City Council, that's one thing that they would look for, is to make sure that it conforms into that.
Okay.
That lighting standard.
And that's in particular because it's immediately adjacent to residential, right? To contain the light on site.
Oh, and you're saying that might not apply to BMD?
Oh, it does apply, and that's what Chris is explaining, that there's specific mitigation for
All right.
that.
Thank you. Second question I had was involving the infrastructure. We talked a little bit about this today, too. Are the sewer lines and water lines going to be incorporated into what's already there on Oak Avenue, or is there going to be new process there somewhere? I have concern about that because the infrastructure is probably as old as the house is. My house is 70-some years old, and we're already having some issues with water pressure and sewer problems, so.
I don't know if you want to.
Vice Mayor, Council, Mark Clarkson, City Engineer. We look at that, we probably bring the utility controls out to where they're existing right now, and that's out on Elm Street. On the sewer, it's right next to a lift station, so it would not impact the sewer. On the water, we have large enough mains. This is going to be a small water usage. It's not overall a lot of water being used there, so should not impact what happens on Oak.
Great, thank you. Last question. With the rezoning of the southern parcel of this to the public, quasi-public, that won't affect zoning of other parcels around there immediately, right?
No, no other properties will be involved in a rezone, so they will retain their current zoning.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. And we currently have a motion on the floor by Councilmember Hewer. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilmember Campion. Call for the vote, please.
Just one moment.
Go ahead.
We are still currently looking for a possibly a different site, correct?
Well, I'll take that on.
I mean, I know we're going through with the process.
This
because we have a
site
grant and this
is adequate, but it's not optimal. And both access and size and awkward shape are putting us through some rather extensive design considerations to make it work. We've had preliminary contact with the elementary school district and more recently with the high school district. And we're going to be convening further discussions with them as to possible joint operation of a bus maintenance facility that would serve not only the city's transit needs, but also school bus parking, washing, maintenance needs. And if either of those were to come to fruition, we would need a larger site, and in fact have been already perusing potential properties within the industrial zoning that would be accommodate a larger use and would not be adjacent to residential. Basically, the hurdle for tonight, if this is approved at your pleasure, would keep our $3.3 million grant alive, and then would give us time. It's a PTMISEA, which is a very long acronym for public transit funding, but it's on its very last extension and very last legs, and if we fail to meet the milestone of adopting this prior to the middle of this month,
That's through
then
SACOG?
it's through SACOG and Caltrans, and then that money would roll back to other programs. So our goal would be to work on a parallel track of approving the environmental, and we would continue with preliminary further site design here, but in parallel, we'll be talking with the school districts about a possible expanded project at a different location. Then, of course, we'd have to circle back to SACOG and Caltrans and look for permission to move the grant from one site to another.
So this is more or less a CEQA Hail Mary.
So since Vice Mayor Cruz sits on SACOG, I hope he would help us.
I've been pushing it hard. You can ask
Well,
Mr.
we
Winkler.
never.
Sir, did you have a question? I'm sorry. You can come right down here, please, to the microphone.
First, I'd like to apologize. I'm not sure if you're going to accept any other public comment on this topic, because I didn't fill out one of those cards, but I do live next to the property that's in discussion. I live at 401 Poplar Street. My name is Robert Sealer. We've lived at the property for the past 5 years. When it was through the zoning process, we purchased the home from the Weathers family. My concern is if you put the emergency exit at Poplar Street, that street is barely wide enough to get my vehicle and your garbage truck down at the same time. We've had to wait to leave for work or take our kids to school for the garbage truck to be able to make it to the end. And there is no current turnaround at the end of the street. Vehicles are turning around in a dirt area that was just purchased by a land developer. I think they're going to put 3 homes, at least that's what we're being told by the property developer's contractor. We have that as a concern. I agree with her, lighting is a concern because we get a lot of the light from the BMD pipe fitter. And then also with it being a 8-foot fence, I work for Lower Unified School District. We have an 8-foot fence with razor wire. We get people over our fence all the time. I feel it's going to be a concerned security issue for the city with it being a bus yard and a fueling station. The other question that I have is operation hours. Since we are residents living next to a commercial facility, what's the noise going to be like when it comes time dark? Those are my comments. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Okay, I have a motion by, did you want to address this, Mr. Arias, or?
I do, just to address the 8-foot, 12-foot wall barrier, there is, the mitigation measure calls for a 12-foot wall. The site plan that is in the document itself may show an 8-foot, but because there's mitigation to show 12-foot, they will be required to do the 12-foot wall. And I don't remember his other question.
Well, the issue was access.
Oh.
This is an emergency access and would only be used in those cases.
Yeah. The emergency access would only be used if there was some kind of a train or car accident or something that would block Elm Avenue. I've been here 5 years and have never seen that occur. In an event, maybe there would be a train on the siding and a fire. There would be a second way into the facility. If the main entrance was blocked, it would not be used for day-to-day. As far as the business hours, neither the transit service operates night hours, nor do the school districts, which are busing students during the daytime hours. There would be an early startup. The Commuter Express bus runs an early bus, and 1 or 2 of the little hopper buses for dial-a-ride that might start at approximately 6 to 6:30 a.m. But other than that, most of our bus service is going to be during normal daylight business hours.
And there is some development proposed in that area. At the end of Poplar, close to the railroad tracks, there was a lot split a couple years ago for someone to build another single-family home in the back. And then at the front end of Poplar, there was a larger parcel that was recently subdivided into 3 lots where the existing home will stay and then 2 additional homes will be built. So there is some proposed development in that area.
Okay. I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion by council? Call for the vote, please.
Councilmember Hewer? Aye. Councilmember Campion?
Aye.
Councilmember Lamson?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Cruz?
Aye. We have a 4-0 vote. Moving on to Public Works Department. Award of on-call contract to R3 Consulting Group for solid waste consulting services. Mr. Winkler.
Vice Mayor Cruz and council members, we're recommending that you adopt a resolution that would authorize 3 actions tonight relative to ongoing solid waste collection services agreements. The first action would be to authorize the city manager to execute a consultant services agreement with R3 Consultant Group in an amount not to exceed $75,000 for initial consulting services. 2, that you would authorize a supplemental appropriation of $25,000 within the Fund 48 Solid Waste Enterprise Fund for the net city costs associated with the R3 consulting contract. And lastly, that you'd authorize the city manager to negotiate supplemental terms and conditions for consideration of a long-term extension or successor agreement to the city's current collection services agreement with our current collector, Cal Waste Services, and to bring those back for further consideration by the council. Once that, if you saw fit to approve that proposed resolution, we would also recommend, it's been 4 years since an ad hoc solid waste committee was established for negotiations that were to occur back in 2014 and have kind of been on hold since then. We do now have a new proposal from Cal Waste, and we feel they're a good company that's worthy of taking a good look at their proposal, and the consultant services agreement will allow us to thoroughly review, vet that for best practice and for some of the changing and evolving legislative mandates that we see in our future as a city. And so we would suggest that you might want to reappoint current or alternate council members for a committee of 2. Previously, you appointed Commissioner or Council Member Campion and Mayor Powers, who has since left the council. So there's at least 1 slot open unless you'd like to reconsider both appointments. So we're recommending approval of the resolution and, at your pleasure, appointment of council members to a continuing committee.
I'd still like to continue on it.
Okay.
I wouldn't mind being on it either. I don't know if you want to be on it.
Okay. Well, let's get this adopted first. Do we have any questions from council?
No.
We do have 1 speaker sheet. Jack Fiore.
Thank you, and good evening. I'm Jack Fiore. I'm the Vice President of Cal Waste. We've met with Mr. Palazzo, Mr. Winkler, and we've reviewed and commented on R3's proposal and their scope of work. The current and upcoming solid waste legislation and regulations are legitimately complex right now, and they're equally fluid right now. We understand staff's desire to hire an expert to help navigate through those regulations alongside the contemplation of our proposal. And although we pay for them, we realize, we understand that R3 is the city's consultant, and I guess in advance I would say we may not agree with them on every point as we move forward. R3 was the city's consultant for our current contract that we work under, and that experience was okay at the time. And as I was preparing my remarks for tonight, I was looking for an example, and bing, the inbox light went off, and we were notified that our employee health insurance premium is going to go up 50% at the next renewal. And our current contract with R3 has no provision to allow us to recoup that kind of a year-to-year increase. So that's that's an example of some, something that looked good 8 years ago or 10 years, 9 years ago, but, you know, today it doesn't work as well as it once did. Most of you know, Cal Waste is a fiercely private company. And that can be problematic with this kind of information or with the kinds of information that we expect R3 to request in order for them to accomplish the scope of their work. And their quoted scope includes providing the pros and cons of continuing with Cal Waste versus going out to RFP. And that's concerning to us for a couple of reasons as well. One may be not so obvious. By the time they get around to making that recommendation, because of the process, our proposal, our rates, our strategies may be pretty well publicized. And so asking us to respond to an RFP is asking us to bid against ourselves when everybody else already knows what we bid. So that's a concern. Cal Waste offers competitive services, competitive rates, and an infrastructure to support those programs here in Galt. We want to build up that infrastructure with rates and programs that will continue to provide the services we believe the Galt needs to achieve present and future solid waste regulations. So while you've heard our skepticism about engaging a consultant to be involved in our contract discussions, we have funded and we do support staff's request with this to engage R3 for this program. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Jack.
Any further discussion with council?
Some of my concerns are $75,000 to go over a contract for 8,000 residents. Seems a little high, and I know it's over 3 years. I was looking, the contract they proposed will probably generate $8 to $9 million already. I'm just not sure if we need a full-on consultant for that, if we can't compare their rates with other cities and if they're in the realm of norm.
What do
Is
you
it
mean?
worth the
What do you mean it'll
$75,000?
generate $8 to $9 million? And what would you?
Some of the things that they're proposing that would come up should generate $8 to $9 million of
What?
income, and
What income?
what we make off them.
We don't make anything off.
They don't make the
No,
infrastructure and stuff like that.
No,
No.
the contract is,
Then I was misinformed on that, but yeah.
okay, well, I don't know what you're reading or where you got your information, but the service contract, we have a contract with them. There are certain costs that they pass through on that contract, and those costs then are what are represented as the rate to the ratepayer. So there's no profit or $8 to $9 million profit. That's kind of what I was hearing you say.
Benefits. So you could probably answer that. Have we gone this route before?
Yes.
$75,000?
Well, I think one of the concerns is that our staff don't have the expertise to evaluate solid waste, and so we really need an expert in solid waste to ensure that we are getting the best deal for the customers of Galt, because we are representing the customers here in Galt. So we have to ensure that when we enter into agreement with Cal Waste, that we in fact are getting the best service. And I mean, I think the service is outstanding, but we're getting the best economics, right? That we're getting, that they're charging the right amount, that we're being able to meet the standards, that everybody's getting a fair deal. Our staff doesn't have the expertise to do that, so we need to bring in a consultant. But this $75,000, a large portion of it's being paid by Cal Waste.
Yeah, I understand
Right?
that.
So Cal Waste is going to assist us because they also understand that staff don't have that expertise. We don't have a solid waste or a garbage disposal service expert on staff. So this will bring in a company who is an expert on solid waste disposal or whatever we want.
Okay, those are just some of the concerns I had.
You know, and I understand, you know, Cal Waste has been in the city for a number of years. They're an excellent provider. And I understand Jack's comments when it comes down to, you know, what becomes public and what doesn't. It's certainly not my intent, and I don't think it's council's intent to purposely divulge information which would undermine them in the future. If we did, and I don't know that that's going to be the decision to go out to bid. It's an issue that comes up under every contract, and it's been that way since I can recall. Because Cal Waste has been with the city's provider for, well, it's been over 30 years, as long as I know. So, I mean, but it is an issue, and like Lori, you say, You've got to make sure you are looking at what is a reasonable cost and a reasonable service in comparison to what is out there and available if we went with a different provider. And I think that's just our obligation, so.
Fair enough.
Okay, any further discussion? Let's take this in two parts if council's okay with that. So part one would be the adopted resolution authorizing the city manager to execute a 3-year consult services agreement with R3 Consulting in an amount not to exceed $75,000 for initial consulting services, and authorizing a supplemental appropriation of $25,000 within Fund 48 Solid Waste to fund the next city costs associated with the current year R3 Consulting Group services, and authorizing the city manager to negotiate supplemental terms and conditions for the consideration of a long-term extension successor to the city's current collection services agreement for the city council consideration.
So moved.
Easy for you to say.
Second.
I don't envy you. Motion by Councilmember Hewer, second by Councilmember Campion. We have no further discussion. Call for the vote, please.
Councilmember Hewer?
Aye.
Councilmember Campion?
Aye.
Councilmember Lamson?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Cruz?
Aye. So that part's a 4-0 vote. We'll move on to the second half of this. Is appoint a city council subcommittee of 2 members to provide guidance to staff in negotiating a potential long-term extension or successor to the current collection services agreement. Kurt, you made comment that you want to remain on it?
Yes, I would.
Okay. Paige,
I'll-
did you say?
Yeah,
Because if
unless-
not you, I'd like to sit on it. If you're willing to do
I'll
it,
do it.
go for it.
You
All
have a
right.
lot more on your plate.
Okay. I just want, Councilperson Lamson to understand, meetings could conflict with your schedule.
I know in advance, and enough in time in advance, I'll make some.
Okay,
It's one of those things.
You guys usually-
Nope, I have no problem.
okay.
It varies.
So we have
It's been a while.
Councilmember Campion and Councilmember Lamson to act as part of the subcommittee. Do we have a motion to that effect?
It's
So moved.
Okay.
Second.
No, we do have to Rochambeau here. We'll take the motion by Councilmember Hewer, second by Councilmember Campion. Call for the vote, please.
Councilmember Hewer?
Aye.
Councilmember Campion?
Aye.
Councilmember Lamson?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Cruz?
Aye, we have a 4-0 vote. Very good. Moving on to the Public Works Department on approval of Senate Bill 1, project expenditure list for fiscal year 2017-2018.
Vice Mayor Cruz and council members, Mr. Mark Clarkson will provide you a very brief presentation on what we're recommending tonight. SB 1, as you may recall, was a package signed by the governor that included some significant fuel tax, excise tax, gas tax type funding increases for the first time in many years in California to help support our crumbling infrastructure. And so this would be the first step down the path of that new revenue stream. Mark?
Vice Mayor, Council, I'm going to make this a really short presentation, so be right here. We've got this project, SB1. We want you to approve the expenditure list. The project, if I can get this going, it's the SRTS project and bicycle rehab and lane improvements out there. It's about a $6 million project. Bids should open. I have so many bids opening, I don't know if it's opening this week or next week. I have a lot of bids opening. So, but it's opening really quick. And it's going to be around $6 million. And what we did, we had a short time. This state put out information to everybody and said, get your stuff into us by the middle of October so we can have a, decide who's going to get what on their projects. And our funding for this portion of the SB1 will be about $200,000. And so we know we had this project. We had about $2 million of reconstruction on this project, which included dig outs and pavement repairs and such like that. And that's exactly what the SB1 funds are supposed to go through for. So we put the $200,000 on this, reduced our Measure A funds by about $200,000, and we're here to request you to approve that. Questions?
So then those Measure A funds would become available for other projects?
Correct.
Yeah, maybe just for context, why would we want to swap those out is there are some strings attached to SB1, including reporting requirements, as we also have with Measure A. But the difference is we have to put up signage, and sometimes maintenance projects, slurry seal, it's all over it there. How many signs do you put up? Where do you put the signs? So the thought would be for this first year filing, which they gave us about 3 weeks to put together a list, we said, well, we can spend it all on a match for one project and only have to put up signs at 1 or 2 locations. And so that was an easy pick. We'll be coming back to you annually with project lists for future year funding. The Measure A funding is a little more generic to road and transportation needs, and would probably be better fit for our maintenance programs, slurry seals, pothole repairs, that sort of thing.
We have those needs.
Lots of those.
Okay.
Any further comments by council?
This is very exciting, and I like what you said about the contractor not getting in the way and working on hours when people are trying to get to the schools, since this will be really affecting the schools and getting there, so appreciate that.
Absolutely. Okay, if I see no further comments, do I have a motion?
Motion to approve?
Second?
Motion by Councilmember Hewer, second by Councilmember Lamson. Any further discussion? Call for the vote, please.
Councilmember Hewer?
Aye.
Councilmember Campion?
Aye.
Councilmember Lamson?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Cruz?
Aye, so we have a 4-0 vote. With council's discretion here, we do have our representative from Parks and Recreation Commission, if we would like to hear that report. Council.
Sure.
Absolutely.
Thank you, guys. Just wanted to introduce myself to the council. I'm Chairman Joseph Patondo, Joe Patondo. I've lived in town for 20 years, or probably longer than that. I know Mr. Cruz has known me since I was a very small lad. It's been an honor and a pleasure to be the chair of the Parks and Rec Commission. I've been the chairman of the commission for this last year for 2016, 2017, and I'd like to present our annual report for you guys. So this year, at the Parks and Rec Commission, we discussed several things. Some of the more notable things, we made a recommendation to and voted to exclude any marijuana or medical marijuana from the Barbara Payne Community Garden in their MOU, and to give the Eagle Scouts the go-ahead to approve the 12 by 12 foot grape arbor that was built out of redwood and attached to the cement out there at the Barbara Payne Garden. Let's see, what else? One of the things I think we had the most fun with was discussing and making recommendations for the community for the park playground replacement out at Community Park. I know my kids are out there a lot. It's been out there for a while and it needs to be replaced. We're pretty excited about the baseball themed design plan and stuff that we've recommended. I would like to thank my fellow commissioners, Co-Chair Kelly Keegi, Angela Prado, Commissioner Janice Williams, and Commissioner Chris Smith. Special thanks goes out to the Parks and Rec Department, especially Armando Solis. They've worked very hard this year. It's been a great improvements over the parks, I think, since, as long as I've been going out there, taking the kids out there and playing. So I appreciate the time. Thank you very much. Have a good day.
Thank you, Joe.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on to communications. Do we have any?
No, I do.
City Clerk's report.
I have nothing tonight, thank you.
Okay. Comments by staff. We'll start backwards here. Kimberly?
I have nothing, thank you.
Gene?
I do have one item to report out and give the city council an update on our county transit occupancy tax grant that we applied for to the county. We had 3 projects that we put in the mix. Our wayfinding signage, our half funding of our recreation coordinator, and Walker Park. And there were 149 eligible applications. The county decided to fund 31 of those, and regrettably, we were not any of those that were funded through that program. However, the county was happy to inform us that Supervisor Natoli has chosen to make a contribution to our wayfinding signage program
from his discretionary TOT program, funding an amount of $19,377. So we were able to, get that funding, and we should be receiving paperwork on that here in the next week or so, and then we'll start that program to make that happen. So please thank Supervisor Natoli for his contribution to the city of Galt.
Very good. Chief.
So I have a couple of items. Tomorrow is National Coffee with a Cop Day. So tomorrow at 8:30 to 10 at McDonald's on Pine Street. We are partnering with the McDonald's Golden State Restaurant Group, and we will have our staff out there to meet with the public. This is our first Coffee with a Cop. It won't be our last. Coffee with a Cop is a concept that was developed in Southern California, and what it is there's no agenda. We're just going to go out there, the citizens are out there, we'll chat with them, and there'll be a number of different members from my staff that are going to be out there to answer any questions that people might have. This past Sunday, Vice Mayor Cruz and myself were out at the 2017 International Kabaddi Cup. It is an ancient Indian sport, and the Sandus invited us out, treated us like royalty, and it was amazing to watch. And so the biggest shock to me was these athletes that were out there made me look tiny. And I was asked if I wanted to go out and participate, and there was just no way. Those guys were huge. Also on Sunday, we had a team that was out in Elk Grove for the End of Watch Deputy Jeff Mitchell Memorial Wiffle Ball Tournament. That was the 9th annual. It's a fundraiser to help with the fallen. So we had a team out there. On October 18th we're starting up our speaker series again, and Sacramento District Attorney's Office is going to be doing a presentation on human trafficking in our area. So that's October 18th from 7 to 8 at the police department. And lastly, October, as you all know, is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. So last year, staff approached me about the Pink Patch Project. It's a tongue twister. And but it was too late to get involved. So this year we got involved. You can see the patches on my shoulders and the other members of the department that were here earlier. And so we at the police department, it's voluntary. Officers at their own expense take off their old patches, put on the new ones, wear them through the month of October to show support. And then the unions, both the sworn and professional staff, both with their own money, purchase those patches that you heard about earlier, and they are selling them. They're a little different. They have a black background, and these have the royal blue background. But on top of that, we also have T-shirts. The professional staff wearing polos. We have pins, and then all the patrol cars we're going to have. We have ribbons from the antenna. A lot of public comment came out when we posted it on social media, and one or a couple of them were interesting about supporting other cancer research. And so the last comment I wanted to make is that this project is a nationwide project. We are just simply participating in that nationwide project. We do many, many, many other things throughout the different months of the year to help support other research projects, community events, people in need. But this is just what we're doing for the month of October, and the efforts from the police department have just been absolutely amazing. The support is absolutely amazing. You saw a small cross section of the department here tonight, and how many of them are participating at their own expense. So anyway, thank you.
The coffee in the morning time?
The coffee tomorrow morning is from 8:30 to 10.
8:30 to 10.
And like I said, it'll be the beginning of many. We have a lot of plans. It was interesting as the McDonald's group reached out to us. They want to partner with Galt and help with our community outreach efforts, so that you'll be seeing them a lot more in some of the things and some of the events that we're doing. So,
Thank you, Chief. Armando? Cora? Mark?
Thank you.
Steve?
Couple of quick construction updates. We have a lull in activity on 4th Street. We're not done processing some change orders. We're waiting on streetlight poles to be delivered. They got tied up in some hurricanes, and so those are a little delayed, and we're going to hopefully see some work. We're also evaluating trees and getting an arborist to spend some time with us out there. And we'll be coming back with further recommendations on that. But probably a couple weeks before we see any major activity, and then a rush of activity to get it done before it rains. We've got some all-weather surfaces to put in and overflow parking type things. So more to follow. Commencing tomorrow, if the contractor, the developer's contractor, will be out working on the beginning of some new median openings to allow left turns in and out of River Oaks, and that work was a condition of approval of their recent map. And so there will be some lane closures intermittently over the next month or so, both north and southbound on Carillion. Probably the inside lanes nearest the median, but there'll be one lane open, other than a few efforts when they have to move equipment and things, and they might have to use flag control. But generally, one lane in each direction will remain open. Lastly, we've got some new equipment to help our staff be more efficient and do some things we've been unable to do, parked in the parking lot for the public to see, as well as some council members visited earlier, but they'll remain there after if anybody would like to take a look. We've got a new large wheel loader for the wastewater treatment plant and a new small compact skid steer unit for our sludge beds, and a new bucket truck. Well, it's a used bucket truck that we got at a phenomenal deal on at about a third of budget that would have been the exact vehicle we would have specified, found it at an auction and had it inspected and certified as being suitable for city use. And so we'll now have the ability to do some of the things that tree trimming and light replacements in parks and things that we used to have to contract out.
Very good. Chris? Emily? Okay. Lori?
So I'd just like to recognize, and he left, the 90 years of Cal Waste, and I know myself and a number of council members and the chief and the city manager all attended their birthday celebration. They're of 90 years of a family-owned business, which is amazing in this day and age. It was a wonderful event. So we attended that on the 20th. And Library Authority on this week. I attended Library Authority on the 28th and received a presentation by our staff regarding the plans for our library expansion. So I assume they'll be coming back to us, hopefully at the next
Yeah,
meeting.
I apologize for the surprise. We're starting our outreach to our stakeholders, and obviously the Library Authority is the biggest stakeholder. But as the owner, City Council will have the final say on decisions. We're actually setting up a meeting for our ad hoc library committee, which you also serve on, to give you a similar briefing and talk a little bit about financing and where we're at with that.
So I did share with the Library Authority that we currently have no identified financing or identified source to be able to build the expansion, but that we greatly appreciate Supervisor Natoli providing us the money to do the plans. So we're in the planning process, and hopefully we'll have an identified funding source that we can work that out. Okay, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Paige?
Oh, okay. I would like to remind everyone, Commissioner DePrado asked me to remind everyone to come out to Liberty Ranch High School football field Monday at 7:30 a.m. It's a groundbreaking to finish the stadium because the stadium's already started. So they're going to get started on that with our Measure E money. Kiwanis will be celebrating the 25th anniversary Thursday at Barsetti's. All are welcome. And last night at the Youth Commission, Mr. Clarkson gave a very inspirational talk to the youth about public works, and they were concerned if any of you have any children that go to Liberty Ranch and drive down Marengo, it's a little tight. And some of the bushes were growing wild and getting in the children's way when they were walking, and they felt unsafe. And Mr. Clarkson took on that, and he's going to take care of it. So thank you very much. That's it.
Kurt?
Well, I enjoyed myself at the FFA booster dinner
Oh, yeah.
a couple weeks ago. It was a little bit longer.
Street, what's it called?
And I forget what
Farm to Fork.
Farm to Fork. It was actually very good. A little warm before the sun went down, but after that, it turned out real nice, and it was a good event. So the other council members out there as well, as well as the manager.
Awesome.
That's it.
Okay, well, I have nothing else, and with that, this meeting is adjourned.